Wow, this might genuinely be the greatest boxing card ever. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Turki Al-Sheikh has just announced a new boxing card set for February in the new year, and it is a pretty stacked card to say the least. And many are actually dubbing this as the greatest boxing card of all time, and I can't say I disagree with that. And I recently made a video on Turki Al-Sheikh, Saudi Arabia, and their impact on the sport of boxing, and my god, does this back up my point that I made in that video. I said that Turki Al-Sheikh is making all the big fights happen. He's bringing entertainment back to the sport of boxing, and I would highly recommend you go ahead and watch that video after this one as I go in further detail with that. But this card is exactly proving my point. And yeah, we've seen Turki Al-Sheikh put on some pretty big cards, such as the Day of Reckoning, where it had Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. However, those fights were fairly one-sided fights, even though we did have an upset with Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker, but we've never seen anything like this. I think every single one of the fights on this card could be a main event fight, which is crazy to say. And I feel that every single one of these fights is a 50-50 fight. So in this video, we're going to break down this entire card, run through each fight, my predictions, and what this kind of card will do for the sport of boxing. So first of all, for the main event, we have none other than the highly anticipated rematch between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. As if the first fight wasn't already good enough, a rematch has just been announced between these two to decide who is really the king of the division, because let's face it, that first fight was pretty controversial and very close. So the second fight will be to decide who is really the true king of that division, and it will be nice to see if either of them come with a different game plan or strategy, or brings anything new to the table. And even if they don't, I would love to see that fight again. That was one of the most entertaining fights of the year, and I definitely wouldn't mind seeing it for a second time. Who do I have winning that fight though? Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. That really is a 50-50 fight, and I can't comment on who would win that one. Next up, we have a huge fight in the heavyweight division with two of some of the biggest names right now in the heavyweight division, considering their performances and what they've been doing in the last year or two. That is Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. We all know Joseph Parker's been on a crazy run recently, beating down Deontay Wilder and having a couple other notable wins. It's fair to say Joseph Parker is definitely having his redemption arc. And as for Daniel Dubois, we all know his last fight was against Anthony Joshua, where he brutally finished Joshua worse than he's ever been finished before. So these two are pretty much at the peak of their career right now. So a huge fight to be made, and I definitely think this one's going to be a good one. Honestly, predictions, I have no idea. I would probably lean towards Daniel Dubois in this one for his explosive power and because he's slightly younger. But I'm not cancelling Joseph Parker out. He definitely has the ability to put some damage on Daniel Dubois, and that is pretty much another 50-50 fight. Next up, we have someone who is set to be on the first undercard of the Bivol Beterbiev fight, but pulled out due to a hand injury. But he's back on this undercard, and he's against a huge prospect. That is Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield, which is actually a huge fight. And this one I wouldn't say is a 50-50 purely because of Shakur Stevenson's amazing skill level, but that doesn't mean we should overlook Floyd Schofield by any means, because he's definitely a strong, powerful, young fighter and will by no doubt be Shakur Stevenson's hardest fight to date. And to be completely honest, I'm very surprised that Floyd Schofield's team made this one happen. However, I'm really excited for this one. I'm probably leaning more towards Shakur, like I said, but definitely going to be a great fight, and I'm expecting nothing but fireworks. Next fight, we have Hamza Sheeraz versus Carlos Adames, and I actually think this one's going to be a great fight. If you guys don't know too much about Hamza Sheeraz, he's been making waves in the scene lately, crushing through his competition, and he's actually someone that I've kept up to date with for the last couple of years. Definitely a very skilled boxer who keeps his range and has power in both hands. However, Carlos is also no joke. He's a great fighter, and I think this one's definitely going to be for a fairly even matchup. Like I said, Hamza Sheeraz is one of my favorite fighters from the UK at the moment, so I'm definitely excited to see him fight and step up in competition. Next up, we have Vergil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. Now this one's going to be one of my favorite fights on the entire card, and that's because it's two kind of prospects going at it to see who will come out on top. As we all know, Israel Madrimov's only loss was to Terence Crawford, in which he had a back and forth action-packed fight, and he did very well in that fight. Vergil Ortiz, as we all know, is 22-0 with 21 knockouts, which is ridiculous, but this is going to be his biggest test to date. And honestly, I think for both of them it's going to be their biggest fight, just because of the uncertainty. I'm really calling calling this one a 50-50 fight because it is Israel Madrimov's strong power skill versus Virgil Ortiz's knockout power but more brawling style. So in terms of entertainment, this one might be one of the favorite ones of the night, to be honest with you, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends out in a knockout. Now we have the next fight. We have Zhang versus Agit Kabayel, and I don't know too much about Kabayel. However, I've seen a couple of his fights and he's definitely no joke, and considering he's ranked really high in every single one of the governing bodies, he's in the top 5 for all of them, and I'm pretty sure he's in the top 3 for the WBC. He's clearly no joke as a heavyweight, and I wouldn't take him lightly, to be honest. Zhang is getting old, and although he has only came to fame and light in the last few years, he's still getting old and will definitely have a tough challenge. Not sure who's winning that fight though. I'll definitely be watching it, and I think it will be an entertaining one. Last of all, on this card we have Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith. We have the old lion in Callum Smith, and we're going to see if he still has it against a tough contender in Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi's faced some challenges in his career, but he's overcame every single one of them and shown that he has the skills to stay up there at that top level. As for Callum Smith, he's a vet. He's been in there with some of the top names, and we know he can hold his own. So like I said, I think another amazing matchup, and this one I really do think is an even matchup. I have no idea who's going to win this one, but I'll still be tuning in to see who does. But just looking at this fight and this entire card, it really doesn't look like there's been a more stacked card in boxing history. I think the most we've seen is 2 or 3 main event worthy fights, and this one's 6. Honestly, Turki Al-Sheikh keeps proving that he's good for the sport of boxing, with these events just keep getting better and better, and I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. He's always said he likes the way Dana White ran the UFC, and we all know the UFC is usually ran in the same way, where we have multiple main event worthy fights on the same card on the same night, and I think that's what he's looking to do with boxing, especially to try and make these big fights happen and get more people in the ring fighting. And if he does things like this, it's given an opportunity to do that. So yeah, this card definitely great for the sport of boxing, and I think many people will be tuning in. Whether they're a fan of one or all of these people, it's going to bring a lot of fans in, and not to mention it's very affordable compared to past pay-per-views. It's around only 20 UK pounds, or equivalent of around 25 US dollars, which compared to old pay-per-views that are the 50, 60, 70, $80 range, it's incredibly affordable, and I think many more people will be buying the pay-per-view. Honestly, I think this could be a huge pay-per-view sellout, and I think this is really a start of boxing going in the right direction. But what do you guys think? Bad for the sport? Good for the sport? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. Anyways, that'll be all. I'll catch you in the next one.